And I think we may still have another couple of people joining, but I think we should make a start. For those of you who were good enough to be here right on the minute. So I want to introduce you to Kat Dooney, top left as I'm looking, of Stripe Social. Now, Kat has a background in PR and comms. However, about 6 years ago, she set up her own business demystifying social media, so Instagram, Pinterest, for small businesses. So trying to help small businesses harness the power of social media. Now, Kat was introduced to me by, I think, a mutual client who told me just how powerful Pinterest was proving as an SEO building strategy for her business. So, compared to the amount of effort that was going into maintaining her Pinterest account, it was way overpowered compared to what she was doing on Instagram. So I know that Kat is really passionate about Pinterest. So that's what she's going to speak to us today about. So could I ask you to put yourselves on mute? If you want to ask any questions, I'm going to be monitoring the chat, and we'll either wait till the end and put the questions to Kat at the end, or if it's appropriate, we'll ask as we're going. But Kat, I'm going to hand over to you and I'm going to make you host. If I
Thank
could
you.
get the mouse back onto my computer. There we go. Um, so you are now host,
Okay.
and thank
Thank
you very
you.
much, Kat Dooney.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction, Julia. Yes, I am passionate about Pinterest. I'm very passionate about sustainable content strategies. I'm working with small businesses to meet them where they are at. I do not believe in making false promises. I'm not here to say, I will make you go viral overnight or do this and you'll get 5,000 followers because it's not true. It doesn't work. And that's just not my style. I think, we need more transparency, more honesty about how we do our social media, and yeah, and how we work as businesses. So I'm going to talk to you about Pinterest today. I'm just going to share my screen with you. I've got some slides to share with you. And just pop that on. And we'll go back to the beginning. So yeah, as Julie said, if you've got any questions, pop them in the chat box and we will go through them. Okie dokes. So Pinterest for interior designers. So today I'm going to talk to you about why Pinterest is powerful for designers. It's powerful for many reasons. It's powerful in terms of getting across what you do, building brand awareness, SEO, driving traffic to your website, wherever you want them to go, wherever you want your followers to go. I'm going to talk about setting up a business account because it's really important that you have a business account. If you don't have a business account, it's not going to work for you on Pinterest, okay? I'm going to talk about what content to share, what pins to share, the type of pins that you can share, and how you can share them. And also going to talk a little bit about how to create pins uh, in a way that's not going to take up a lot of your time because that's the beauty of Pinterest. Like Julie said, the amount of effort that you put into Pinterest for the gains that you get, for the returns that you get, are really, really good. And especially when you compare them to other platforms. I'm gonna, make an educated guess that most of you are using Instagram as well. Instagram, it's a lot of work. And there's a lot more work involved on Instagram, whereas Pinterest, it's a lot less, and you will see better results. So I'm going to talk about how to drive traffic to your website, and also next steps. So practical things that you can be doing, you can be starting with to build your Pinterest presence. Okay. So why Pinterest? So there are over 465 million monthly active users on Pinterest, and this is growing all the time. And the UK is actually one of the biggest growth areas for Pinterest right now. It is really taking off, especially for businesses, and it's a really, really good time to be establishing yourself on there to sort of almost be an early adopter to build up your presence on Pinterest while it's flourishing. Now, 465 million may sound like a lot. It is a lot. And you might be wondering, well, how the heck am I going to get my content seen amongst all, all that activity? There are very specific things you can do to help people hone in on your content. You can niche into your content, and I'm going to show you that. I'm going to explain that as we go. So don't get overwhelmed by that figure. Pinterest is a visual search engine, and I really, really, really want you to remember this as we go through. It is not a social media platform, and it does get lumped in with all the other social media platforms just because of the way it looks, I think, and traditionally the way that it was used and the way people use it. But that's changed a lot now. You need to be thinking of it as a visual search engine. It is how you will get found. It is how people will discover you. It's how you build your brand awareness. And again, I'm going to talk about that in more detail as we go along. And Pinterest is very different from other platforms because users come to Pinterest with intent. They're planning, they're dreaming, they're saving ideas. They either know exactly what they want and they will go into Pinterest to look for that, or they're looking for inspiration. And again, they will turn to Pinterest to look for that. And your business can fill those gaps for them. So if you just think about how you use your Pinterest personally, how you build up your boards, how you're building up your inspiration, how you're banking ideas, that is what we can get people to do for your business. Okay. It's also a very positive place. I'll go back on onto this slide. Unfortunately, other social media platforms, there can be a little bit of an edge to them. There can be a little bit of negativity, but Pinterest is working really, really hard to create a positive platform and somewhere that's really inspirational. There's no negativity. They actually call themselves an online oasis. And I don't know if you noticed, I know some of you and quite new to Pinterest when you signed up, you have to sign up to a code of conduct as to how you're going to act on Pinterest and act towards other people. So it's worth bearing that in mind as well, that if people are coming to Pinterest feeling positive or it makes them feel positive, they're much more likely to take an action or follow through on what they've actually gone into Pinterest to look for. So interior designs in Pinterest, you are absolutely a perfect match. It's a match made in heaven. Your work is highly visual. So remember, search engine, a visual search engine. What you do is all about showcasing what you offer, transformations, how you help people. And you guys are going to have that bank of content. I hope that most of you've got photography, you've got hopefully professional photography. Some of you may be sharing things like blogs, YouTube videos. All these visuals are absolutely perfect for showcasing on Pinterest. We know that people use Pinterest to plan for their home decor projects, for interior design, if they just want to shake up a particular room, if they want to do outside space, anything like that. What's your first port of call? It's Pinterest. And even if you don't go straight to Pinterest, if you type in what you're looking for into Google, for example, Google links to Pinterest as well. So quite often you'll find that Pinterest results come up on a Google search and they'll send you off to Pinterest anyway. So that's always worth bearing in mind. People are always looking for how-tos and tips and tricks. If you're anything like me, I'm hopeless at DIY. I might go on Pinterest and look up, maybe like how to create a gallery wall, for example. And then there's loads of advice on there, blogs, videos, that sort of thing. And sometimes people say to me, well, if I put things up on Pinterest, if I show them how to do it, then they're not going to come to me. But actually, it quite often works in the opposite way. You put things up, they watch the video, and then they realize that they can't do it or they don't have the time to do it. And then that makes them want to come to you. So it is actually a positive thing to do, to share as much of your expertise and skills as you can. If, you know, if that is your style, I know that not everybody's going to have a blog. But if that is what you are doing, if that's part of your content strategy, then that is ideal for Pinterest. And we've talked about this, yeah, your ideal clients that are already searching for ideas and inspiration. You know, people might not be wanting to do a home renovation, you know, until later on in the year. They might just be, they might still be on Rightmove at this point, you know, looking to move. But you know what it's like ahead of that, you're already thinking about, I know what kitchen I'm going to have in my dream house, you know. So they're on there all the time, always planning. So I just want to talk a little bit about Pinterest and Instagram because they do work together and they do different things as I've been explaining. So, like I said, Pinterest is a search engine. Um, Pinterest has a long content lifespan. This is the good news, and this is the brilliant thing about Pinterest. We call this evergreen content. So you could post something, say you posted something about a minimal interior, and you posted that this week. That pin will keep coming around for as long as people are searching for those things, for minimalist interiors, for neutral interiors. So unlike Instagram, where you know you do post something and it is kind of here today, gone tomorrow, Pinterest, you've got that infinite lifespan on a pin, which is really, really useful. And also, if you're posting anything seasonal, seasonal things come back around as well. So, you know, recently you might have posted about a spring home refresh. Well, every spring that pin has got the potential to come back around. Pinterest is about you planning and saving, and it drives traffic to wherever you want people to go. And I'll talk more about that as we go along. Instagram is a social platform. It has got short content life. Users scroll and like rather than planning and saving, but it is still a really great place to build engagement. So on Pinterest, there's no expectation to engage. So I know it's one of the rules on Instagram that you post and then you engage and you share other people's content, you know, and basically you get back what you put in on Instagram. On Pinterest, there's none of that. There's literally, you're not expected to do that. And also, if you think about the way that you use Pinterest personally, it's very, very rare that you stop and engage, isn't it? You might pop a like on every now and again, but it's not about the comments. So I think Instagram still is really useful for the engagement side of things. And if you just look at the diagram I've got there, I want you to think of Pinterest at the top of your marketing funnel. This is a very, very basic marketing funnel, but Pinterest is the discovery layer. Pinterest is where you will get found. It's where people are searching. It's where you can funnel people off to where you want them to go. Instagram is more where you do the nurturing. So if you want to build relationships, Instagram is where that would happen. But if you're building your Pinterest profile and sending people off to your content, then that is going to happen. And then the bottom of your pyramid there is email or whatever form that is for you, is where you actually do the converting. Okay. So yeah, I did just want to show how they go together, because I think if you think about your overall content strategy, it's important to think about how they all fit in together. So we'll have a look at your what makes a great Pinterest profile. And the first things first is to set up a business account. I said this up front. If you're not operating as a business account, it's going to sound obvious, but Pinterest won't know you're a business and they won't treat you like a business, and they won't push your content out in the same way. And if you set up a business account as well, or if you've already got an account, you can convert it in the settings to a business account. It opens up analytics, so you can keep an eye on what's happening with your content. If you ever wanted to go down the ads route, it opens up ads as well, but it also signposts to Pinterest. You're a business and you're talking about specific things, and Pinterest will put you in the right categories and serve your content up to the right people. Very important when you do set up your business account or convert it is to claim your website. So I've just taken a screenshot from my Pinterest account here. And can you see bottom left? this is my website, and it's got like the little world symbol with a tick next to it. This means I've claimed my account. And I popped a link in here that walks you through how to do it. And Julie's going to share these slides after the session. But claiming your website, again, it flags up to Pinterest that you're a legit business, and they don't just accept you straight away. They sort of, I don't know what they do behind the scenes. They go away and think about it, but they scan your website and they're really, really strict about who they accept. So it's got to look like a genuine website. You've got to have a proper URL. You've got to have the proper SSL, the security measures in place. If you are selling anything through your website, you've got to have a very clear delivery policy, postage and delivery policy. You've got to have a very clear refunds policy. And you've also got to have a privacy policy on there as well. So they're not messing about. They don't want just anybody claiming a website. They want you to be legit. But when you do claim that website, again, that opens up more analytics. And it also means that your whenever you post content on Pinterest, your logo will appear underneath your Pinterest content as well. So it's just proving who you say you are. And it's quite easy to do. So if you follow the instructions in that link, then you'll be absolutely fine. And yeah, add a header image and a profile picture. I would say, keep to your logo or any sort of brand imagery that you've got. And I would say, even though it's not a social media channel, try and be consistent with the other channels that you've got out there, because it helps to build recognition. Also on your profile, pretty much everything is searchable in Pinterest. And by that, I mean the name of your profile, I mean your bio, pin titles, pin descriptions, board titles, board descriptions, even down to the metadata. So the name of the file of the image file of your pin, even that is searchable. So it's literally everything. But this just proves how much Pinterest is working for you. They want to cling on to all these pieces of information that you're giving them to make sure that they're serving you up to the right people. So just have a think about that when after the session today. I'd invite you to go away, look at your bio, and make any changes that need to be made. So make it super clear in the name what you do. Now, I don't want to use social media marketing. I would just say that here. What I want to say there is Pinterest marketing or Pinterest marketing expert, but Pinterest won't let me do that. I've tried many, many times, but for some reason they don't want me to say that, which is why I've got social media marketing. But I want you to be a lot more specific. So, make it relevant to the style of design. So is it colourful? I don't know, is it Nordic? Is it Scandi? Is it neutral? Is it family spaces, family homes, that sort of thing? Make it really specific. And then also in your bio, we need a short, clear description of your services. So basically what your services are, who they're for, and what the benefits are. And you don't get you don't get many characters. So you've got to get to the point on that. And what I would say as well is, if you can see on this screenshot here, can you see there it says more? People have got to click on that to read the rest of it. So put the good stuff up front, put your keywords, what you do up front, so that people don't have to click to find it. And I'm going to show you how to search for keywords in a sec as we go. Okay. So those are the fundamentals of optimizing your profile, just to make sure that it's searchable and it's going to come up for the right people. Okay. Pinterest boards. So Pinterest boards are basically, if you think about them as a filing cabinet, and they are where you file your pins. They're a place to store your pins. I don't want you to get too hung up on what they look like, because unless you set a board cover, they're going to change anyway, because every time you add a new pin into a board, that becomes sort of like the key image that you can see here. These are my boards that I've got at the moment. Where I do want you to spend your time is making sure that they've got the right names and the board descriptions. I've got keywords in as well. That's a better use of your time. probably 9 times out of 10, people aren't going to discover you through your profile anyway, through your board, sorry. They're going to discover you through a pin, and the pin is what's going to attract them. So yeah, sometimes people are like, oh, I don't like the way my boards look. It looks a bit messy. Can I do this? And no. I just say what's what can you spend time on that's going to get you the results, and just make sure that the boards are set up. But yeah, don't spend too much time on what they look like. Okay. You can have secret boards if you want to. Um, so perhaps if you're working on a project with a client and you're putting together a mood board, maybe you can make them secret so they're not public, if that's how you want to work with your client. But if you can, I would keep as many boards public as possible. Okay, talking about pins then, what does Pinterest want from you? So Pinterest favors fresh content, and this is relatively new, I would say, in the last 2 years. Pinterest, that they've been really transparent about it. They've been really clear that they want us to be pinning fresh content. So old Pinterest, as I like to call it, used to be a lot of it was about pinning other people's content and building up boards that way. And Pinterest used to reward you for that, for building up your boards. It doesn't anymore. It wants you to pin fresh content. So what do I mean by fresh content? Like I said before, I think a lot of you are going to have professional photography or photography of your projects that you can use. I would go for those as much as possible. Or if you do share blogs, share YouTube videos, if you've got a mailing list, anything like that, I would create graphics in Canva to showcase those. But obviously still using your own brand colours and your own brand imagery, your own brand font, everything. So it's recognisable as yours. For what you do, it is slightly different because I know that you are collating ideas. There will be times when you need to borrow from another board, you need to pin from another board. That's absolutely fine. I just want you to always think about, well, I pinned something from someone else's board. Potentially, you could be sending them off somewhere else. So people come to your board and then they click on someone's pin, and that's taking them off to their content. So I just want you to be mindful of that. So on that board, is there a way for you to put in your content as well and fill it up and have a nice balance? Okay. Less is more, definitely on Pinterest. So it needs to be instantly clear what your pin is about. So if it's an image, if it's a beautiful image of a dining room, a kitchen, that says it all, doesn't it? It's gotta grab attention. Quite often I see people then they'll put the logo over it and it'll be massive and it'll just really detract. I think if you want to add your logo, do it subtly, in a corner or make it transparent, that sort of thing. And just bear in mind as well that the majority of searches on Pinterest aren't branded. So people generally aren't searching by brand names, and they certainly won't be searching by your business name. They'll be searching more by room, by decor type, by the type of renovation that they're doing. You can overlay your blog with keywords. So again, blogs and how-to. So how to liven up a small space, how to brighten up a small space, that sort of thing. If that's a blog that you've got, then definitely you can put the word in. But again, don't make it absolutely huge so that people can't see what it's about. It's got to be really, really clear. But also, the Instagram algorithm, I mean, I don't profess to know how it works technically, but it can read words as well. So it can read that text overlay on your pin. And again, it's searchable. So that counts towards helping funnel people off to where you want to go. It is another form of SEO. What I would say on pins is always add your website URL so that people can, visit you quickly. They can obviously click through the pin, but also they can see it visually. And video pins are really gaining traction on Pinterest as well. They're great for showing your processes for showing before and after, and they really stand out on the feed because the majority of Pinterest users aren't creating them. What I would say here is the Pinterest video pin creator is still, it's kind of basic. They're at the start of their video journey, we'll put it that way. It's nothing in comparison to, say, the Reels editor in Instagram, but it's getting better all the time. And what I would encourage you to do is have a think about how you can repurpose your content anyway. So I would say if you've made a reel for Instagram, look at it and think, well, is that suitable for Pinterest? Can I upload that to Pinterest? And if yes, don't waste time creating two sets of content. Upload it, but obviously you're gonna have a different description. It's gonna be slightly different when you add your details into it. But yeah, then the other thing I'll say as well is that they recently lost their music license. I don't really know what's going on with Pinterest in that respect. So at the moment, there's no, I think audio's fine if you've got a voice recording over a video, but there's no music in their music library, which hoping is a temporary glitch. But just in case you go there and you're wondering what's going on, it's the same for everybody. But to be honest, the music library wasn't great anyway. It was kind of like lift music, it wasn't it wasn't the good stuff that you can get on Reels. So yeah, hopefully they're working on that. But I'm just gonna come out of this and I'm just gonna show you my Canva for a second. This is where I create my my pins. And as you can see, what I've done is I don't reinvent the wheel every time. So at the moment, I've been using, can you see here, I've got templates that I use, and I just make them different every time. So I'll pop my brand colors on, I'll pop a different image in. But yeah, so it's perfectly fine to do that. That's still a fresh piece of content, even though it's the same sort of template. Pinterest is not going to penalize you for that because you've made it different. So once you get into a routine with creating your content, so say you have got blog content, once you've found templates that you like, then you can just keep reusing them, but just making them different every time. I like to create my pins a week in advance, so I've always got sort of 7 days lined up. It's up to you how you want to do it. You can do it a week in advance, a month in advance. But yeah, like I said, once you've found your style and what you like to create, then it is relatively easy. It's basically just dragging and dropping and changing the designs. Okay, I'll go back to the slideshow. So I've been talking about keywords, and these are really, really important. So how do you find your keywords? You find your keywords in Pinterest. And like I said, the keywords matter everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Your profile, board titles, pin descriptions. What you've got to do is put yourself into your audience's shoes. And I sometimes come up against a little bit of resistance with this because what your audience is typing in isn't necessarily what you would type in. It's not necessarily how you would describe your business, and you've kind of got to let go of that a little bit. And I know it can be difficult, but honestly, once you do, it opens up more possibilities for your content being seen. So in the example here, I've searched for colourful interior design, and then this is everything that came up in the search in Pinterest for colourful interior design. So this is what people are searching for right now. It's up to date, it's constantly changing. This is what people are looking for. So just from colourful interior design, you've got living rooms, bedroom, kitchen, aesthetic. Aesthetic's huge. There's always an aesthetic in there somewhere. Ideas, style, bathroom, modern. So what I would do is I would encourage you to go into Pinterest, type in different search terms in the Pinterest search and see what comes up, and then keep a record of these. So in a Word document, a Google Doc, a spreadsheet, however you want to do it, keep a record of these. And then you've got these keywords to draw on. So the next time you're talking about a living room, you can look and see. So what you can also do as well is, I'll just go on to the next screen. You can see here, the search terms that came up also appear as these colour blobs at the top of the search as well. So you can click in to any of these, and again, that's going to bring you more keywords and more search results. So you can go into a bit of a rabbit hole with it, well, a huge rabbit hole with it. So I'd set yourself a timer while you're doing this. Say like 1 hour, I'm going to go in and I'm going to get as many keywords out of this as possible. So yeah, you can keep clicking, you can keep going down that rabbit hole. What you can also do as well is in these search results is this is a new thing actually, featured boards. You could click onto these featured boards to have a look and just look at the types of language that is being used in there, the types of words. And also you can click into pins as well and just have a look around, see what other people in your field, in your niche are saying, what are the words that are using. You know, these have come up at the top of the search results, so they're obviously doing something right. Click into them, have a look around. You know, you're not copying, it's keywords. You're not going to copy their descriptions. You're not going to copy their photography or whatever they're doing. But it's absolutely fine to do the research and find your keywords that way. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. That's a really important piece of work that you need to do when you start your Pinterest journey or you're updating your Pinterest journey. If you get your keywords right and you get them in all those different places that we talk about, that is what's going to make you a success on Pinterest. That's what's going to get you the growth. Okay. So what's pin? Your past projects, befores and afters, you know, showcase what you do, showcase those gorgeous visuals that you've got. Mood boards and color palettes, again, you know, can you mix in the, original imagery that you've already got with taking imagery from other people? Tips and tricks, how-tos, you know, anything that shares your expertise, demonstrates what you can do, anything that's helpful as well. People love helpful content, and that's the stuff that people pin that they want to save for later. If you've got a blog post that we talk about, or portfolio pages, anything that you want to link off to, pin those as well. If you've got a mailing list, if you're trying to build up your mailing list, which is, I think, a really important part of marketing for social media for small businesses these days, then yeah, you can create a pin, and that can link off to your lead magnet, your freebie, and encourage people to sign up to your mailing list. What I would do is avoid any time-bound events or offers. So yes, you can post seasonal content. So say you're doing maybe you're doing an autumn interiors, that's fine, that can come around. But I would avoid doing anything where you put in a specific date or even a specific
hi.
week or month on it.
Yeah, sorry.
Um,
Yeah.
Nicola, could you, I'm just going to mute you. There we go. Okay. Yeah, because of the way Pinterest works. So when you pin a piece of content, it does take a little bit of time to bed in. So it takes a few days up to a week for Pinterest to see it, understand it, know where to put it. And then if you put a specific date or a time on that piece of content, and it keeps coming back around that we talked about in the evergreen content, it's not going to make sense to people. So if you've got something that's time bound, then I would use Instagram to promote that, definitely. Just something to think about, something to avoid. Driving traffic, we've talked about this, and the beauty of Pinterest is that you can send people wherever you want them to go. You are in control. You tell them what to do and how to make the next step. So they can send them to your website. If you've got a landing page for a new service or an event, email sign up, your free download. Some of you may be selling products through your website. You can link up to specific products. You can set up shopping pins. I've not covered that in this session because it is a lot more detailed. But further down the line, you can set up pins whereby people can actually shop in Pinterest with you. If you've got a really great piece of social media content, say on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere like that, you can link them to those as well, link them to your blog, anything that you've got going on. What I would say is when you are encouraging people, when you're sending people where you want them to go, is to encourage them to save your content. So include a really clear call to action in your pin description. You know, save this pin for future design projects, download the guide, click to read more. Make it really, really obvious what you want them to do. But also, as part of your description, you can say, you know, save for future inspiration, save save for your, you know, your next home renovation, that sort of thing. And it has been found that when you do put those little prompts in, people do take the action more. It's that, you know, we are spoon feeding people a little bit, but you know, go ahead, do that, whatever it takes. Okay. How often should I pin? This is a $1 million question. I think while you're starting off, I think aim for 3 to 5 pins a week to start with. For me, the sweet spot has been posting every day. So I post a pin every day. But I don't want to overwhelm you. You know, while you're finding your feet, while you're optimizing your profile, while you're getting your board set up, I think if you could aim for 3 to 5 pins a week, that's a great amount of content, and then you can build up on top of that as you get into a good routine with it. You can schedule. Personally, I use the in-app Pinterest scheduler. I think it's great. You can schedule it to 30 days in advance. Yeah, and that works for me. You can use something like Tailwind. There is and Tailwind was specifically built for Pinterest initially. It has expanded out into other social media platforms now. You can use a schedule like Tailwind. Obviously, there's a cost involved with that. There is a free version, and I think you get sort of maybe 5 pins a week on Tailwind. Tailwind does have a lot of AI features. If you want to, you know, experiment with those, so it will create content for you. The results vary. I'll put it like that. I would, if you want to present your brand in a certain way, I would avoid things like that, and I would continue, you know, using your own photography and your own designs. But everyone's different. So if you wanted to have a look at Tailwind, then you can do. And again, focus on consistency. So Pinterest loves it when you're consistent. It hates it when you dump a load of pins in at once. So if you're doing your 3 pins a week, you could do, you know, a pin every other day, and that'd be lovely. And Pinterest would get to know you for that. And now Pinterest knows me because I like to pin every day. It doesn't like it when you just go, oh, I've got loads of Pinterest content. I've not done it for ages, and you post like 20 pins at once. It gets confused, and you probably get down ranked for doing that, unfortunately. But Pinterest are really honest about these things. You know, they're constantly giving updates about this, unlike other social media platforms that are perhaps a bit more cagey. We never really know what's going on. Pinterest are really, really good at telling you what they want. So I do encourage you to sign up for their newsletter as well, so you get the updates from them. Analytics. So when you've set up your business account, it does open up analytics for you. So as with anything that you're doing in your marketing, you need to keep track on what's working and what's not. I would say to look at impressions. That's how many people saw your pins. Look at saves. How many people are saving your content? This is what you want. You want to get that saved content on people's boards, and also outbound clicks. So that means traffic to your site. So what have people clicked on the pin? Have you sent them off to where you want them to go? So there are other analytics in there, but those are the ones that I'd really like you to focus on initially: impression saves and outbound clicks. And it will take a little while. I would say give it a few months, because, you know, things will start to, you know, they'll go up and down as you're posting content and you're posting it consistently. Things like sometimes seasonal content affects what's going on overall in Pinterest. So think, from one month to another, it can be a bit of a roller coaster with your analytics. But if you're keeping an eye on these three, these are going to give you the true picture of what's going on in there. So just some common mistakes to avoid. So as I've just been talking about, inconsistent pinning. Yeah, just try and get into a routine, whatever works for you. Not using keywords or using words that you want to use or words that you think people are using. No, it's all based on research. Do your keyword research, and that's what's gonna help you. Um, Treating Pinterest like Instagram. If you treat it like Instagram, it's not going to work. It's completely different. And I went through that earlier with you, but what you can do is make them work together. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see people making is that they're expecting overnight results. Pinterest is a long game. It is a long game. And I would say, you need to give it at least 3 to 6 months before you're going to see any sort of significant improvement in traffic to your website, in any sort of improvement on views, that sort of thing. But if you keep that consistency going, you will get there. And so many people drop off. They're like, oh my God, this is not working. I'm pinning and nothing's happening. And I see it, they drop off before that tipping point. And honestly, you reach the tipping point and then your Pinterest content, I don't know, there's a little bit of magic on there, I think. It starts to take care of itself. Those pins are bedded in, those pins are being served up to the right people, and they start to come back around as well. You'll start to see a pin that you posted 4 months ago, it'll come back up that people are clicking on it. So yeah, so just you've got to hang in there, basically. Um, so yeah, so just want to recap on what I've been through today. So it's a visual search engine, Pinterest, not social media. I know I keep saying that, but I really, really, really want you to remember that. Um, Business accounts are a must, and I've talked through why that's the case. Quality pins and keyword strategy, that is what will bring growth, and that is what I want you to focus on. And also start simply, but start strategically. So you've got the building blocks now to make a start. And yeah, and to make Pinterest work for you. And also, have fun with it. It's a really lovely space. Like I said, it's a positive space. It's a creative space, which suits all of you perfectly. And yeah, you can make it into whatever you want it to be. And these are just some ways that you can get in touch with me or keep up with me. I do a weekly, well, I'll say weekly-ish at the moment, newsletter where I share what's going on, updates on Pinterest and Instagram, things like that. I've got a load of blogs on my website about Pinterest, so obviously going into more detail about things that were covered today. But yeah, there's Julie's going to share these slides with you so you can have a look for yourself. So shall we open it up to questions?
Hi, Kat. Hello.
Hi. Oh gosh, right. Are the
Oh,
questions in the chat or are we?
Well, Timna, why don't you go ahead and ask
yeah, I
them?
had some questions anyway before you even started. So I'll try not to take over too many things. I suppose one thing that is interesting for me, I'm trying to do more kind of commercial interior design.
Yeah.
Generally, would you say this is more a space for residential?
No, it's a space for showcasing whatever you do. So if it's commercial, that's absolutely fine. It's about creating the content that shows that off.
I think my problem is my content that, well, the professional photos I've got from the finished projects that I've got are mainly residential, but I've moved since then into
Mhm.
commercial. So I'm in that slight catch 22 because I don't necessarily have the images, but I've got some concepts for it. So I can put concepts
Yeah.
and sketches and things up.
Yeah,
But in
absolutely. And then
terms
as
of
you build up your commercial portfolio, you can post more of that content.
yeah.
Absolutely. So what you can do is be smart and you can link to your website, the page on your website that talks about what you're currently doing and the commercial work that you're doing.
Yeah.
So as long as that the pin isn't misleading, as long as it's still visually appealing and draws people in, then yes, send them off and say, look, this is what I'm doing now, guys. This is what I can do for you.
Yeah. Okay. And I also clearly did the big boo-boo because Julia has gave us loads and loads of notice to pin one picture a day,
Mm.
which I didn't do. And so in the last week I've pinned
It's
loads.
fine. Don't worry. Don't worry. Just
So I'm going to get told
this
off
is
by
day
the
one. This is
Pinterest
day
police.
one now. Like we'll draw a line in the sand. This is day one. And if a pin a day is too much for you right now, just go for, like I said, start with 3 a week. Start smaller and build up as you go in.
But in terms of having pinned a load in one go, what you're saying is they'll just trash you into the back of Beyond, will they?
Well, not necessarily, but they just said that they don't like people doing that. They would rather the consistency. So, like I say, we'll just draw a line in the sand from today, and you can
Yeah.
start good habits from now. Yeah,
Okay. And there was one
yeah.
other.
If you did that, if you're a repeat offender, I think you'd struggle. But as a
They'll give
one-off,
me a second chance,
yeah.
maybe. I'm lucky. Okay. And then the only other thing I was going to ask was about, well, there's a few other things, but I'll just ask one more question. Mood boards, for which you mentioned are good to post, but often mood boards have images from other people. So,
Yeah.
but because it's your interpretation, your style and scheme, bringing together different images or different colours and tones from different areas, that makes it yours, does it?
Well, yeah, it makes the board yours. The images aren't the images that you pin on there aren't yours.
No, I mean, can you pin an image of a mood board that you've created?
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
Would that be true, Kat, though? Because if Timna's talking about, let's say, a photograph by Annie Leibovitz, the photographer, and Timna puts that on her board, it's a photograph taken by Annie Leibovitz on
Right. Yeah.
Timna's board, and then
Yeah.
she photographs the entire board, but it's still got the Annie Leibovitz photograph unrecognized in the center of the board. I
Yeah.
think.
So if you've not got permission to use the images, I would avoid doing that. If it was from, so say Annie Leibovitz was on Pinterest, for example, and you took it from Pinterest, then you could put it on your board and do it that way. But yeah, I would be careful about using images that you've not got a license for or permissions to use.
yeah, so if we've created a mood board for a client of a particular scheme that we've created, and in there are some images from other people, what you're saying is you can't put that onto your mood board as a whole and pin that as a pinned image.
I would avoid doing that if there's a
Yeah.
way for you to
Okay.
create the mood board without those images in, or perhaps, just sort of tinker with it and maybe put something else over the top of it. Um, I would do that. I have had pins removed. So I've got a different personal account. So I've pinned things on my personal account, and I have had notifications in the past to say, you don't have permission to use this image, but it will say it's not your fault. It's the person who originally pinned it. That sort of thing, and it will get taken down. So they are quite hot
Yeah.
on things like that. Yeah,
Fab. Thank you.
yeah.
Any other questions? Anybody got?
Um,
Charlotte.
oh, hi, thank you. That was so interesting. I've got a couple of questions, if I may, please.
Sure.
One is, from an SEO point of view, would you add hashtags to the copy? Because I have
No.
heard it's sometimes a yes and sometimes it's no.
No, absolutely not. And it's a really good question. I should have put that in the slides. So what happened was people were hashtag stuffing Pinterest descriptions. They weren't writing anything in there. They were just putting a load of hashtags in, and Pinterest got tired of that to the point where they said, we're not reading hashtags anymore. So what they want you to do, they want you to write in sentences. They want, yeah, human words, human, legible human speak, and no keyword stuffing, no hashtag stuffing, which is good. It's one less thing for us to worry about, isn't it?
And then my next one was going to be, I've noticed on this Pinterest particularly that a lot of people are screenshotting from Instagram stories and just loading up like to their boards, which are then being populated. And I know about the watermark and these sort of things because in another lifetime I had some work that was put out there and I've seen it repinned thousands of times, but
Yeah.
there is no credit and there is no coming back to the filter of originally what was the content I created. So I do watermark everything now, but what I'm saying is that I've also noticed now people are going on anybody and they're screenshotting Instagram stories and just posting up, which again is as our copyright as the designers.
Have
you seen that?
I haven't, to be honest with you. I haven't, but that might be something that's particular to designers, maybe if people screen like, oh, I really like that, screenshotted it, sticking it on a board for inspiration. It's not, I mean, I think that's more down to the user maybe not even being aware of copyright and what you can and can't do. If it is prevalent, I would imagine Pinterest might, get a hold of it at some point and say you can't do this anymore. From your perspective, that's quite annoying, isn't it? Because on a story, it's not going to be watermarked, it's not going to have the logo on. So I think it's kind of an annoyance that you're kind of just going to have to go with. But yeah, from an etiquette point of view, it's not good practice. No, definitely not. And as a business, I would not encourage anyone to be doing that. That's not a good look, unless it's your own. But you wouldn't screenshot your own stories anyway. You'd have that content, wouldn't you? You'd have that image that you could put up as a pin.
That sort of leads on to my last question, if I may, please. So I've also sometimes got a notification saying link your Instagram
Right.
to your Pinterest, as in, are they taking my Instagram content and just bunging it on, or you get these little squares of smaller squares from Instagram, and I'm not sure what that means in the current language of Pinterest.
So to be honest, I am yet to see the benefits of linking your Instagram to your Pinterest. So what happened? So mine was linked for a while, and on Instagram I like to post carousels, and I post quite a lot of them. And it was just dumping the carousel images into my Pinterest. There were just random photos, cups of coffee, whatever. And there's no context on Pinterest. And I was just like, this just looks an absolute mess. And you're right as well. It doesn't, it comes across as a square. It's not in the pin dimensions. So I unlinked mine. I was like, I really don't like this. I don't like the way it works. You can, there are in settings, you can switch off auto publish, so you can choose which Instagram posts go across. So you've got to say, yay or nay, when it cross posts. But I just feel like it's different types of content. So if you've got an image for Instagram, you're going to want to resize it for Pinterest. And the pin description is going to be different, and the keywords, and you're going to put the link in. So for me, like I said, I'm yet to see the benefits of doing it. I think it's a quick way maybe for people to just get some content up there, but then is that really what we want to be doing? We want to be a lot more, strategic and purposeful in what we're posting. That's the way I view it and I approach it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries.
Anybody else want to ask a question? Yeah, Indy.
Hi, Kat. Thank you.
Yeah.
The question was, so obviously there's pins from like all over the world and people are searching, like you said, colourful living room, and pins could come up from anywhere. So if we're trying to sort of generate leads, say, as our end goal, so, get people over to the website, is there a way you can sort of filter or tailor this, or I don't know, keywords maybe that are more the area that you work in, or is there anything that
So in your bio you could say UK based, or you could say London based, you could say Manchester based, wherever you are, and then that will niche it down a little bit for you.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, there's no there's no, you can't location tag a pin or anything like that. They don't have that in, but you could even include that information in your pin description as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great.
We've got a couple of questions from Cassandra in the chat. And one of them is about, I think it's the same question actually that Timna was asking about other people's content that is in your mood board. So she's specifically asking about things like fabrics that are from identifiable brands, where you have that as part of a board that you've taken a photograph of, but it wouldn't have the credit for the fabric specifically as part of the piece of content. So I imagine that's probably a bit like Timna's mood
It
board.
would be, but I think that sometimes if you've got an agreement with a fabric designer, with a fabric producer, if there's an agreement that you can share their images. I mean, it depends how you work. So if you sell those fabrics to your website, or if you exclusively work with that fabric designer, I would check, but there must be some, if they're providing you with images, say, there must be some sort of agreement there whereby you can use them. If that isn't in place, again, I would be careful about what you're putting on. I mean, if it's a mood board, you can be clever with the design, maybe make that element of it a little bit smaller, perhaps, and other features on it larger, but I would just be careful about permissions. Yeah.
I know from past experience, some of the fabric houses have been absolutely brilliant with letting me use images of their materials.
Yeah.
If the commercial request comes back to me, and as a result I sell their stuff, they seem to be, but that is part of an explicit conversation that I've had with the managing director of the business or whatever about how I was going to do that. Sorry, Anna, I've got one more question just here from Cassandra, which is, she says, I think of images for Pinterest as being very curated. Do you have ideas for content curation for posting frequently?
So I think, do you mean, so you've got like a bank of content to draw on? Is that so? Curate, I would avoid curating other people's content. I would use whatever content you've got, your bank of content. That's preferable. I don't know if I'm interpreting the question.
Yeah, so Cassandra, if we're misinterpreting your question, please do come back. I mean, you showed us, Kat, how you pretty everything up in Canva and make sure that it's, in good shape. Anna, I know you had a question on here. Do you want to jump in and ask?
It was really just going a bit further, on the fabric thing. I mean, any image that we might share of any of our projects is going to have a fabric in it. I mean, the sofa is going to be covered in some kind of fabric. The curtains are going to be covered in some kind of fabric. It would be impossible to share something that we've done that didn't have a fabric or a paint color or a something that is somebody's brand. Now, I guess I kind of feel that if I haven't had a conversation with the managing director of GP&J Baker, but I do have a trade account and buy or use their fabrics very regularly. My impression would be that they'd be only too happy to have their fabrics gone out. I guess to me, it seems a bit odd that I'd have to have specific permission for every time I want to put up a picture and I may have a picture that has 7 different fabric houses in it. So that I understand the thing about being careful, but you could easily, and of course it would have a sofa from an identifiable company and a table from an identifiable company and every single thing could potentially, unless it's, the client's own painting that they have bought from somewhere, could potentially is somebody's something. So where's the boundary? I don't want to get so caught up in, oh my God, must have permission for anything that you can't share a thing. So where's the boundary? I guess I'm looking at that.
Well,
If I put things on Instagram, I don't tag every single, or Indie, I should say, put thing on Instagram, don't tag every single thing in that image. We just say, look at this gorgeous room, and here's what problem we solved with it.
Yeah, I think, well, I think if it's a long shot of the room, I think that, that's absolutely fine. I think people are talking more about mood boards where you're presenting something, there's a lot more detail about a fabric or an image or a photograph. I just try not to get, like you say, Anna, try not to get too caught up in it. You can, in your pin descriptions, say, where the sofa came from, where the table came from. That's absolutely fine to do as well. Um, if you look on Pinterest, you'll see that people are sharing things all the time. So
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely fine. I think it's just common sense at the end of the day, isn't it? I wouldn't share an Annie Leibovitz image without.
No, but that's her, and I do tag my photographer
Yeah.
in. If I shared a professional image, I tag my photographer saying he took that picture.
Yeah.
We do occasionally do the mood board that has a bunch of fabrics or in a tile or whatever. And I suppose would we just need to, which we'd probably do anyway, we would just need to tag all the suppliers?
I would imagine if you're like a shop, you're like a shop, and your shelves are stocked with product from trade companies. And I think it'd be absolutely fine to take a picture of your shop with the contents, and you wouldn't have to say, this mug is by so and so, this plate is by so and so. I know at a school that I used to work at, there was we were sued by a photographer after a student put up a mood board that had a photograph on the mood board that was taken by that photographer. So it was ripped out of a magazine, put onto a mood board. The mood board was photographed and put onto the school's website, and the school was sued for that. So that is different from you showing product that you have got, that you've got a trade account with. So I think that's probably the distinction, Anna. I think, Zimmer and Road would be nuts to sue you
Yeah.
So-
For advertising their
they're
fabric.
advertising their product.
Yeah.
That seems like a really unlikely outcome.
I thought as well. I think I see what you're saying. The concept boards that you, as a matter of fact, taught me about many years ago, where we ripped things out of magazines, and I have no idea who took those photos. I guess I could see that somebody might get upset, but I wouldn't have a clue as to who to tag.
Yeah.
But
Is the
okay.
distinction
That's
there,
more clear.
I think,
Julia? Is the distinct? Sorry, I was just going to ask. Is the distinction there between having what you're saying is if you've got a Zimmer and Road fabric on your
That's the difference.
mood board, and you're saying, well, they'd be mad to complain about that. But is the idea what you're saying is, but you'd still need to say it was Zimmer and Road?
No, I don't.
By the fact of it being there and being identifiable as one of their fabrics.
It's not so. I mean, I can't give you legal advice, but it's not that. I wouldn't worry about that, but I would worry about a random photograph that ended up on a mood board, and that you then took a photograph of that mood board and put that up without being able to reference the.
Yeah, but I think the thing about the photographer is really important because we were talking about this as we were pinning, obviously too many in one go, but and so I'd sort of done it just to kind of catch up more so that I'd actually got used to the process, and sort of in case there were questions I had for this, for today's webinar. And one of them was to do with crediting. So obviously, because most of the pictures that people are putting up are of professional pictures of their projects, so we should credit the photographer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whatever you would do, you'd do that on your website, wouldn't you? You'd do that on Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you are. Yeah.
And when you're putting that picture up, it then gives you the options for tags, for hashtags.
No, there's no hashtags. You can add topic tags onto.
Are they topic tags? But they're really limited. So they come up with certain ones, but you can't create your own.
You can't create your own. No, they're preset.
Right.
They are bit hit and miss. There are quite a few interior design ones on there though, that you can use. So you can use interior designer, interior design portfolio, I think is another one. Then there's things like there'll be bedroom design, kitchen
Yeah.
design. So they're quite broad. They are there. They're called topic tags, but there's no data around them. We don't actually know what they're doing. So
Right.
we're presuming that it's another layer to your SEO that they're helping people, find you. To date, I mean, they've been around for a couple of years. To date, and I think they were sort of in response to the no hashtag thing. Pinterest have never released any data around them, so they're there.
That's not transparent then. If
Yeah, they're
they're
there. Use them. I would use them. I use them. I use them in my client work. But you can't see what's happening around them. So in Instagram, you can have a look at a hashtag and you can see how many times it's been used and what's going on. There isn't any of that in Pinterest.
odd,
It's
isn't
almost
it?
kind of like they rolled them out and then forgot about them and moved on to other things. So they're really hot on like the visual search.
Well, and you're saying they're
that sort of
really sort of
thing.
transparent about all sorts of things, but not with
Yeah.
that.
It's kind of like a forgotten feature almost.
Okay.
I'd say as long as it's there, it must be doing well, I presume it must be doing something. And you can add up to 10 topic tags,
Yeah.
but you don't need to add 10. I'd just say only use the relevant ones.
Okay.
Okay. Kat, sorry,
Kat, sorry.
one last question. Charlotte, go.
Please, can I just ask this question? I think it's very interesting that we're all concerned about everybody else's copyright, but we actually haven't addressed the situation of our own copyright to our websites. And should we be allowing people to pin from ours, or can we? What would you say? Because that is, we also have our rights to copyright, and I know that a lot of people are re-looking at their websites and they're saying, "Oh, you can pin every picture," but from a professional point of view, what would you say on this?
I think that's down to individual choice. If you want that to happen, then you can set that up. You can set the Chrome extension to be able to do that. It works well with blog content. People make, specific images, graphics to go in their blogs that people will pin. But if you don't want people to do that, then you can set it up on your website that people can't lift your content. It's personal preference, really.
Hmm.
Do you mind me just squeezing a very quick one in?
Come
on. Before and after image. An image before and after, is that a good thing?
Absolutely, yeah. So you could do that as a static pin, as an image pin, or you could do it if you've got any video content, if you're on site, if you're in, at the project. Absolutely. People love seeing transformations. Just think about the sorts of content that you watch, sorts of content you watch on TV, the interior shows on TV. We want to see what's going to happen at the end.
Brilliant. Kat, thank you so much. And I'm going to put your slides later on. I'll put your slides into the Hothouse group, and they'll go under the Files tab in Hothouse, and you'll be able to access them. And I think they look like they're hyperlink, Kat, so that people can click through to different bits and pieces from there. And obviously, if anyone needs to contact Kat, I have her information. You've also seen it. It's on the slide, so if you want to get in touch with her to help you with your social media. Kat, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure having you here, and I'm now off to look at Pinterest for myself. I haven't done anything with it yet, I have to confess. I haven't pinned my daily photo either. And just to let you all know that next week on Wednesday, we've got Simon Maxwell, who is an interiors photographer, is going to be here. And one of the things he's going to be talking about actually is licensing and copyright of professional photography. So that, he's going to be sort of picking up on some of the themes that you've been speaking about, Kat, along with others for anyone who's thinking about getting work professionally photographed. So wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Your time.
Bye.